Good afternoon, everyone. We're so very excited to have you all here. I see that we have nearly 430 people with us, and that is fantastic. And we're so pleased to have all of you with us here. We're very excited to be co-hosting this with NACEP. And so as we move to some introductions, I will start with Adam, who's the Executive Director of NACEP, to introduce himself.
Good afternoon. Very happy to partner with NACADA on today's webinar. I am Adam Lowe, the Executive Director of the National Alliance of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, known in short as NACADA.
Welcome, Adam. Mary Stevenson, let you take a minute to introduce yourself.
Mary, you're on mute.
Hi, I'm Mary Stevenson. I work at Utah Valley University. I'm an academic advisor specifically dedicated to the concurrent enrollment students that we have in our program. I'm also the chair of the NACADA High School to College Interest Group. I'm excited about today's webinar. Thanks.
We're excited that Mary is a member of both of our associations and has a leadership role in both of our associations. So, Mary, welcome, and we're very pleased to have you with us. Let's go to Megan and Gail, our duo of the camera picture up there.
Hi, my name is Megan Mudd, and I am the coordinator of the Online Career Academy at Des Moines Area Community College.
And my name is Gail Zier. I also work at Des Moines Area Community College, and I'm a coordinator. I work with our Perry and Ames campuses.
Welcome. We're glad to have you with us. And then last but certainly not least, our NACADA Region 6 Region Representative Chair, Troy, introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Troy Schmidt. I work at Minnesota State University Moorhead. I am in the Academic Support Center, coordinating our efforts with warning, probation, and suspension students. And I'm also the PSEO advisor here at MSUM.
And we were very excited that Troy agreed to run for Region 6 chair, as his previous Region 6 chair moved to the board as our incoming president, Amy Sanders. And so Troy follows a great leadership role there in that region. So let us begin. For those of you who are not familiar with NACADA, I want to give you a little bit of a background about us. If you're visiting us from NACEP or from any other area that may not know about us, NACADA was chartered in 1977, which just by chance happens to be the year that I started teaching high school and actually began teaching what was then called dual enrollment courses back at Glen Academy High School in Brunswick, Georgia. So I've been involved with these courses for many, many years. Within that, our executive office is one of the few associations that were actually housed at a university. We're housed in the College of Education at Kansas State University. It has been a great partnership since 1990. And so we've been very pleased to be a part of Kansas State and the College of Education. I've been a member of NACADA since 1991, but have been with the executive office since 2002. And I'm very excited to be here and be a part of what we do with the association. We have presently about 13,000 members internationally, with our upcoming annual conference in St. Louis expecting between 3,800 and 4,000 folks joining us. So we're looking forward to that in just a couple of weeks. NACADA's mission is to promote student success through advancing the field of academic advising. So we look at lots of areas of student success and advising, and I firmly believe that concurrent enrollment programs are key to student success. So that's why I think this webcast is so important to what we're doing. One of the major strategic goals of our association is to build partnerships with other associations. So this partnership with NACEP is important to us, and this is just what I hope will be the first of many strategic plans that we'll put into place for partnerships with NACEP, including some possible research opportunities that might come about through our new NACADA Research Center and NACEP and the impact that these programs have on campuses. As you all know, college completion is a major initiative in higher education today across the globe. We recently held our international conference in Sheffield, England, with over 19 countries being represented, and nearly every presentation, something was mentioned about how important college persistence and completion was in every country and every institution. So it's not just something that's important to the US or North America. I think everyone is dealing with that. However, the emphasis really has gone deeper than just completing college, but really talking about completing college in a timely manner, because we all recognize that the longer the student takes to complete college, the more costly that is to their parents, how more costly that is to students, and quite frankly, how costly that is to higher education institutions. And I think one of the ways that we can ensure timely graduation is through involving students intentionally early on with the types of programs that we're going to talk about today. NACADA, as I said earlier, has partnered with lots of associations, including NACEP, but we've also had a growing partnership with Complete College America, or CCA, and one of the many of the game changers that we've worked with is including the 15 to Finish project, in which it's really looking at recognizing that if a student wishes to complete it in 4 years, they can no longer think about a full load being 12 hours a semester and how that works. So we worked with them to create the shared principles for boosting on-time graduation, which you see a picture of here. And you can also get a copy of your own and share on your campuses at the link below. But one of the key pieces of these shared principles is the importance of academic advising and the intentional work that advisors do with students on how to complete in a timely manner. And I continue to believe and think that the concurrent enrollment program is key to those conversations that advisors have with students. Concurrent enrollment is a key initiative in supporting timely graduation, but it requires careful and intentional, and I really stress that word, intentional, focused collaboration between K-12 systems and higher education. When I was back at Coastal Georgia Community College in the South, which is the other college of Coastal Georgia, and I think we have some representatives from my former campus here with us today. I helped begin the program. Back then was called Post-Secondary Options with the local school systems in our surrounding area. And so I've been involved in that for many years. Many students see this as a strategy to get ahead in meeting their core requirements, but without key partnerships that are designed to support the students both at the secondary level and the collegiate levels, this partnership can't work. And so therefore it becomes essential that these types of programs that we're going to talk about today really take place and really are done in those types of manners. NACEP has been extremely important in being sure that these programs are successful. And so I'd like to give Adam a few minutes to talk about NACEP, the work they're doing, and the outstanding job they're doing in setting some standards that all campuses are looking toward meeting. So Adam, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Charlie. We at NACEP are very pleased by this opportunity for our two organizations to collaborate on growing the knowledge base on this very important topic of advising high school students who are taking college courses. And indeed, I anticipate this is going to be the first of many opportunities for us to collaborate with NACADA on this growing topic. You're going to hear today from some experts in the field who actively are working with this unique student population on a daily basis. I know that our viewers today will all learn some really powerful strategies for working with this specific student population and addressing the specific needs that they have, as well as the needs they may have when they come on campus after graduating high school. Now, before we get to these case studies, however, I wanted to briefly introduce NACEP as an organization for those of you who may not be as familiar with us and why we are so committed to this topic. The origins of our organization go back to the late 1990s, a time period when dual and concurrent enrollment programs were expanding rapidly throughout the country. The long-established programs sought each other out in the late 1990s, resulting in the formal establishment of NACEP in 1999. Today, our national membership network includes over 450 colleges and universities, 70 high schools and school districts, and 30 state agencies or state post-secondary education systems. We support this national network of professionals by sharing the latest knowledge about best practices, supporting research efforts and advocacy with the media, state agencies, and government relations. Our annual national conference, upcoming in just a few days, features 2 days of presentations on the latest innovations in the field, and we provide other opportunities for professional development through state and regional conferences, workshops, dozens of webinars like this one, and a Washington policy seminar. Our growing number of affiliated state and regional chapters bring additional professional development opportunities closer to home. In addition to the membership services, as Charlie mentioned, NACEP has always had an intense focus on program quality, promoting a set of national quality standards and offering a peer review accreditation process for the concurrent enrollment model. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Next slide. Last fall, our leadership set a bold new course for our organization. In doing so, the board articulated this vision to guide the work that we do, and thus to help shape the field of dual and concurrent enrollment. Embedded in this carefully constructed phrase begins with a very telling first word: all high school students. As programs extend their reach to a broader range of students than were historically served by these programs, the importance of student advising is thusly increased. Now, the National Student Clearinghouse shows us that already 25% of degree earners, associates and bachelors, have taken dual enrollment courses while they were in high school. An even higher percentage of students have done so in places like you're going to hear from today, from Iowa, Minnesota, and Utah, with long-standing programs and significant investments in these programs. Next slide. I wanted to take a brief moment to talk about terminology because since we've got so many callers in today from a wide area across the country, we know that terminology varies place to place. So I want to highlight how we use terminology at NACEP. Firstly, dual enrollment we use as an umbrella term. Any college credit-bearing course taught to high school students, regardless of the location of that course, regardless of the instructor type of that course, or the delivery method. Concurrent enrollment we use as the subset of those courses that are taught by college-approved high school teachers. This is the most common model in many states. So again, I'll use the term dual enrollment as the umbrella term to encompass the range of terminology and programs offered by colleges and universities nationwide, and concurrent enrollment to refer to the specific model where a high school teacher is credentialed to teach that course. Note that we are not talking today about these programs that are on the right side of the screen, credit by exam models or credit for prior learning models such as articulated tech credit. So our presenters today come from a variety of different models. And let's go to the next slide here. The three models of dual enrollment that we're going to hear about in specific today include the concurrent enrollment that's taught out in the high school, some dual enrollment courses where students are traveling to a post-secondary campus, as well as online coursework that dual enrollment students are taking. You'll see from this slide here that the national data shows that about 3/4 of student enrollment is happening out at secondary locations. And when I say secondary, this is including career centers that are run by the public school system. Career technical education is an important component of dual and concurrent enrollment, 30% nationwide, and much more so in places that have invested heavily in career and technical education like Iowa and Utah. The prevalence of these non-traditional course locations and delivery methods, whether online or at the high school campus, creates challenges for college advisors. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of the strategies from our speakers today on how they address that challenge. Next slide, please. Now, I mentioned that we have a set of national quality standards and an accreditation peer review process to validate the quality of concurrent enrollment programs. NACEP's Accreditation Commission this year adopted this standard as the benchmark for high quality programs with regards to student advising. Our old standards had previously required programs to merely publish material, either print or online, that specifically talked about the concurrent enrollment student needs. Our new standard goes a step further. It requires a much more active advisement so that students are informed about the benefits and implications of taking college courses, how they are made aware, not just merely a publication. We know that the advising needs of the student population are different than, say, a full-time matriculated student who's about to enroll in their third semester. It is precisely the needs of these students that we hope to learn more about today from our presenters, as well as what some effective strategies for accomplishing this advising challenge. A few topics that we all know are important for concurrent enrollment and dual enrollment students are things like student conduct policies, course and degree planning issues, transferability, enrollment processes, legal rights such as FERPA and ADA, and the impact on future financial aid. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues who are the true day-to-day experts on this topic. And first off is Mary Stevenson from Utah Valley University. Mary?
Thanks, Adam. Hi, everybody. So at Utah Valley University, we have been doing concurrent enrollment since 1988. And we participate primarily in that traditional form that Adam talked about, where most of our students are taking classes at their high school from approved qualified high school teachers. Because I'm involved in NACEP and NACADA, I really see the great interest there is from a lot of people on wanting to stay involved in what's going on in the high school, especially as opportunities for high school students continue to evolve. So just a little brief overview of our program. On my slide, it says we have 8,000 students in 49 high schools. I think when the final numbers come in from this fall, we'll be closer to 9,000. And so we have a large program here at UVU, and we've been doing it a long time. We are an accredited NACEP program, which means that we're following those high standards that NACEP sets. And we have a lot of success in general in our program. So in Utah, concurrent enrollment is it's a high priority for our legislature. And our students participate in the program by paying $5 per credit for each class that they take at the high school. And they do have to qualify academically to be able to participate in the program. So they have to have a certain high school GPA to be able to participate. And they also do have to meet the same prerequisites for courses that any student on our campus would have to meet. So the program is happening at the high school, but they do have to follow those guidelines to be able to participate. The courses do vary depending on the high school location. So while schools have the opportunity to have a number of different kinds of classes at their school, it's the teachers who get approved, so the offerings vary by high school. But they have any general education course that we have at UVU is on our concurrent enrollment list. So students have the opportunity to do general education, but we also have a number of CTE courses and exploratory electives, and then we have some pathway courses that are in very specific areas. So our students have a lot of opportunity. We have a certain service district that we're over in Utah, and a lot of our schools are urban, but we do serve some rural populations as well. So that's kind of what our program looks like. Our team consists of 2 people. So our advising team anyway. I'm full-time, and then we have a part-time advisor. But our concurrent enrollment staff is 10 people. So everybody on our staff pitches in and helps with a lot of the different things. We have to be creative since we have 1.5 advisors for that many students. So it's really important to us that we've created a network that works well for us when we're talking about advising students. I put on that slide that we're 60% probably in our office and 40% out in the high schools doing things. And that varies depending on the time of year, where we do a lot of different things. One thing that I like to point out about our program is that UVU does have a great advisor training program. And we work with a specific population, and we're out in the high schools a lot, but we are certified trained UVU advisors. And that networking that we get with our campus advisors is really, really important to us. And it gives us the tools that we need to use. And we also, because we're trained like any other UVU advisor, we follow the same theories and different approaches we have to advising. And it helps with that seamless transition when students do end up coming to UVU. we can make a lot of referrals and send them to advisors that we know really well. So one thing that we do a lot of group type things at the high schools. And but one thing that we have that really works in our favor is in every high school, we have a dedicated concurrent enrollment coordinator that really helps us do some of the basic processes. So we train the coordinator, and the coordinator will do a lot of things in the high school, like help students with admissions and registration processes. So that takes a lot of the pressure off of us as advisors. And then also all of our concurrent enrollment staff helps with that as well. So that's a really key component to our success as advisors, is that we have a lot of support from our secondary ed partners, and they're dedicated to this process as well. So we have monthly information sessions. We do them here at the university, and we go out to the high schools and do things. We participate in registration assemblies and scholar nights and parent nights. Basically, if our high school partners ask us to come to the high school for a certain reason, we'll make it happen. And sometimes when we're in the high school, we're doing group type advising, and sometimes we are doing individual advising. Depends on the size of the high school and what we're able to accommodate at that time. One thing that's different about concurrent enrollment advising from other advising is that parents are highly involved. So I wrote 90% of our appointments have a parent in them, might be higher than that. But these students are minors. They're still, FERPA still applies to them, but it makes your advising appointment different when parents are involved. High school students need their parents to be involved. So it's something that we as a program have had to develop some different tools that we use about kind of lining people up and teaching parents how to be supportive of their student, and kind of drawing some lines about showing them some habits that are helping their students be better self-advocates. We've developed some different things on that front that we've found a positive results from that. When we are doing in-office appointments, it's probably like a lot of other advising appointments that you have. We spend a lot of time talking about all the things that were mentioned earlier. So we help them with degree planning, we help them answer transfer credits, and we do probation, things like that. We talk about scholarships and student code of conduct, but we do spend a lot of time talking about why. We don't want our students to be accumulators of credit. We want them to take their classes with a purpose in mind. So we're teaching them how to navigate through that system. Can you go to the next slide, please? The other thing that I think is really important is that as an advisor, you developed a strong network. Especially when I started in concurrent enrollment advising, we have a large campus, but I was the only one here at the campus who was focused on this group. And so it's important to have those people in your network that you can reach out to, other experts, and help you. In Utah, it's written into our code that any institution who's providing concurrent enrollment must also provide advisement, but it's not defined how you do that. So every institution in Utah has a different approach to it. And we all the advisors working in those institutions, we know each other and we are able to talk to each other. It's very helpful to have those networks. So NACADA network, NACEP network, and then of course your network of counselors at the high schools that you work with. Those relationships are really key. Next slide. So this is an important part of concurrent enrollment advising. Our students who participate in concurrent enrollment are getting a lot of other experiences. They may seem like small things, but they're the big things that help them matriculate successfully to college later. They're learning how to navigate college processes. Our students are fully admitted to UVU, but they're placed in a non-degree seeking category. But because they're fully admitted, they have access to campus tutoring services. I can refer them to any place on campus for help for one reason or another. They do have a student portal where they go in and they can check their degree works. When I go in with a student and show them their Wolverine track, we tell them that when they do concurrent enrollment classes, they're starting a college transcript. Makes it more real for them when they see that they have a college portal and their class is on there and that's where their grades are. So they're learning all of these things along the way that help them gain confidence and really be able to make that transition to college in a successful way. So I could go on and on. I really love this program, but we have other great presenters to go on. So I think I'm just going to pass it to Megan and Gail.
Hi, thank you, Mary. My name is Megan Mudd, and I am the coordinator for the online career academy that we offer at Des Moines Area Community College. Des Moines Area Community College, we refer to as DMACC in our presentation, DMACC. Here at DMACC, I have been an academic advisor for about 12 or 13 years and have just become the coordinator of the Online Career Academy the last 2. So I have familiarity with both advising and coordinating. We are located in Des Moines, Iowa. Our program is called Career Advantage, is kind of our umbrella name that encompasses students that are taking classes out at the high school with their high school teacher that is earning college credit. It also includes the students taking online DMACC classes, and it also includes students who are coming to one of our 6 campuses to take a program that we have set up here called a Career Academy. We serve about 15,000 students total in our program, 15,000 high school students. Within that, about 11,000 take the classes out in their high school. We go to them to advise those students. Then we have 2,100 approximately that take online classes, and then about 1,200 that take a Career Academy class coming to our campus. We have 62 high schools in our service district that we work with. In our office, we're thankful to have 7 full-time advisors that assist us with the Career Advantage programming and 2 part-time advisors. We offer our courses, the course offerings vary by high school and location, but we offer both a mix of general education courses and also career and tech courses such as welding or nursing or automotive. Students do not pay anything for the courses. It's free to the high school student. We are paid by the high schools. So the students get the credit for free and the textbook for free, and the school districts are then charged a reduced rate for their students. As Mary mentioned, our program has a lot of similarities to her program, but the advising piece is critical, as she mentioned. Relationships with high school guidance counselors are key. They're the ones who also are meeting with these students on a day-to-day basis. And again, like Mary said, communicating with parents in this age group is also very helpful, critical, key, all of those things. So I'll talk specifically about the Online Career Academy since that's what I work most with now. We have about 2,100 students that take the courses. The high school guidance counselors really are the people that work with the students to help them make a good course selection. We recommend that students not try to take an online class in a subject in which they struggle, and we want them to have success in this first online course. So if you're a strong English student, then an English online course would be something that we would encourage you to go ahead and try. We also like students to have a 21 ACT or a 3.5 GPA. It's just our recommendation, along with being strong in that subject area. And this is only for the online courses. The advisors then, myself, I go out and hold face-to-face orientations. Usually those happen in May. Students sign up in April or May before they leave for the following year. So a high school junior would sign up in April or May. Then I would go out and meet with that whole group of students from a specific high school, so maybe 100 students in the auditorium, and go through how to be successful in an online class to help them get thinking about their class that's going to start in the fall. We go through a sheet with them, tips for online success, talking about the importance of logging in frequently. Day 1, log in, read the syllabus, figure out how your teacher wants to be communicated with, whether that's through Blackboard, which is our online platform, or email. We talk about the importance of setting a schedule, whether it's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. Or we really also like to have our online students to have one period a day in their high school day set aside for their online class. So that's really nice if they can have that chunk of time. Then that does give them someone at the high school also. We call that person our online coach, and that person is employed by the high school but works with us. I do require mandatory midterms on all the online students from our DMAC faculty to submit a midterm grade to me. So at a minimum, we provide a midterm update for the high school guidance counselors to know. And then any student that is struggling, I also encourage our DMAC faculty. There's about 90 instructors that have a high school online student in their class. So of those 90 instructors, excuse me, I ask them to send me an update if any students are struggling, and then I pass that on to the high school coach. So yeah, I'll turn it over to Gail to talk about some of our other programs.
All right, I'm going to talk about courses that are run face-to-face for our students. So I work primarily with our high school population, and then our students who are taking courses in one of our career academies. So they're coming to a campus. The important thing to note about these, we probably work more frequently with our career academy students because they are coming onto a DMAC campus. So we do advising for them we take attendance in these programs. And then we follow up with any students with any issues that they have in class, whether it's technical issues or maybe it's an issue with the attendance or behavior issue or maybe some of their expectations. So we do work with students in that way. So they're two little different populations. All of our high schools and all of our career academies will have an advisor assigned to them. So I'm responsible for 14 high schools and then 2 of our career academies. So I work with the students in those career academies as well as those high schools. Our advisors will also work with counselors. So we're the main point of contact for all those students, those counselors, and also the administration within those high school buildings. We are a point of contact as well for the teachers that are teaching our career academy students. So we do have a number of teachers who we employ through our program, and they teach, like Megan said, some of those career and technical courses on a campus, an auto tech, a diesel, health. They're teaching those kind of programs. We meet with students a couple different ways. One is in large groups. Our main large groups happen during registration. The students who are taking courses in our high schools, we visit with every single student when they register. So we go out to every high school during the 2 weeks right after the semesters begin, and we talk to every student about expectations. We remind them they're taking a DMAC course and the implications of that. So we do talk to those students in that setting. After that point, our advisors will really work one-on-one with students, and they're going to talk about things like degree planning, DMAC programs. We talk about transferring credits, and we also let them know there are resources available at DMAC. We do stuff like probation, AIP, which we call academic improvement plans. We work on all of that with our students as well, doing those one-on-one visits. Now I'm going to talk about some of the tools that we use just to give you kind of an idea of how we help facilitate these conversations. One of the things that we implemented a few years ago was a fact sheet. This document we give out to every single student when we go to visit during the group registrations. So this gives the student information about do's and don'ts of classes, some of the implications of taking a college class, obviously. Handbook location, it's going to go into My DMAC, which is our student information portal that our high school students have access to. If they're seniors and they're planning to come to DMAC, we put the steps on the back so that they at least get it one time that way. And then we also talk about if they want to transfer, how to get a copy of their transcript and all of that information. So this is really one of our first pieces that we hand out. Next slide, please. In addition to this, we also do a senior survey. So all of the seniors that are taking concurrent enrollment that semester or dual credit courses that semester, we'll do a survey so that we know and we can kind of target communication to them. It also helps, since we have a program of 15,000 students, we would love to meet with every single one of them one-on-one, but that's not always possible. So this also helps us funnel the students who are interested in DMAC, so we make sure that we have communication with them. And if they are going somewhere else, maybe they're deciding to transfer or they're going directly to a four-year college after high school, that we let them know that they have a transcript and they need to request it. So that's kind of what we use this piece for, just some targeted communication. Next slide. Another thing that we use, and Mary talked about this, her students also have access to a student information portal. Ours is called My DMAC. This year, we're really going to use this portal. We have the ability to put announcements on it so we can push out updates. We can send them notifications. We can do, on the side is our Discover DMAC Days, which is our campus visit event. So we can really push some of those recruitment things out to the large group of students. But it also has access to their DMAC email, which they need, especially for Megan's online courses. Degree Works, which will give them access to their planning tools if they're interested in coming to DMAC and they want to figure out how those courses fit into a degree here. Blackboard, they'll also use for their online resources. And Web Info System is going to give them access to all of the transcripts and tools that they need on the college side. So we're really utilizing this tool to help us with some of that and kind of, again, help funnel those students who are interested in DMAC into our programs. The last thing, well, one of the last things that we use, we implemented this year as well, is a degree tracker. We created a personalized degree tracker. We have one for every single high school, and these will drop in the courses that a student could take as a concurrent enrollment student in their high school. It drops them into our Associate of Arts degree. So it shows the student, gives them a direct path if they were coming to DMAC or they're planning on transferring, how those credits are going to apply to a degree here as well as a degree somewhere else. So we use this every time we meet with a student to help us have the conversation of, yes, you love to take English classes. Here's the English classes you'll need for a degree, but you're also going to need histories and science and all those kinds of things. So that we make sure that students aren't overloading themselves in one category. So we use all of these tools essentially to help us with the advising process. Like I mentioned, we have so many students that we really try to get to them one-on-one, but we're hoping these tools will also help some of those students start those conversations. So with that, I will pass it over to Troy.
Thank you. So get a little background on Minnesota State University Moorhead. We have a population right now, a little over 6,000 students. And like I said, I am the advisor for these students who join us through the PSEO program. We average right around 35 students, so they are here taking classes on our campus. That represents about 14 area high schools. We have some online students as well as some students who are homeschooled. And give a little background on the criteria that we follow to make sure that they qualify for our program is that high school juniors need to rank in the upper 1/3 of their class or score at least a 24 on the ACT, and then high school seniors need to rank in the upper half of the class or score at least a 21 on the ACT. The majority of our students that join us are from Moorhead High School. That represents the largest portion of our PSEO population. We do contract with Moorhead High School. So there's a little bit different relationship between us and them from the other area high schools who have students joining us. Only residents in Minnesota are eligible for the PSEO program. Since we are a border city with Fargo, North Dakota, we do make it clear that North Dakota residents are not eligible even if they're attending a Moorhead High School, but vice versa. Moorhead students who are attending a Fargo High School are eligible because they're indeed Minnesota residents. I advise all the students and all these students in the PSEO program. My main focus with these students is making sure that they graduate high school because that's the most pressing thing for them at the time when they are here taking these courses. We focus on the Minnesota transfer curriculum. This aligns nicely with our last goals, our liberal arts and science curriculum here at MSUM, but the main focus is there because that is a collaborative effort among the 2- and 4-year public colleges and universities in Minnesota to help students transfer their coursework and general education between institutions. Minnesota legislature requires colleges and universities to register our incoming or our new entering freshmen first. And so PSEO students register for courses based on space available. And at MSUM, they are not allowed to take online courses. The The registration orientation day is a combined effort between myself, the admissions office. We do have a representative who is solely focused on PSEO students and making sure that they're all processed and all the documentation is complete. And then we work with our director of first year programs and treat this as a new student orientation and registration event for this population of students. The day focuses really on our expectations, program requirements, courses, and obviously course registration. We really want to paint the picture of what are you getting into when you start your transcript, much like diamonds, college transcripts last forever. And so we want to make sure that we're clear about what is similar with high school, but what is different between college and high school, and really help these students understand what they're getting into. We roughly spend 3 to 4 hours on campus with these students, their parents, their guests, throughout the whole orientation process and then the registration session. And this past August, it was nice. Like I said, we are contracted with Moorhead High School, and so the counselor from Moorhead High School is able to join us on the registration day and join us in our registration room. And that was very helpful because she had access to student schedules and that the students hadn't even seen. So it's really nice that they could work with her, adjust their schedules or know when certain things are so that they could move things around and take classes that they know that they needed. You know, in particular, I think of like a U.S. history versus a world history, and does one meets the criteria, one doesn't. And so it's just a very, very positive response from the students and the counselor and the students' parents. And so that is something that we will continue to do, because that can be a setback in the advising room. Obviously we can work around it, but it's nice to have that collaboration with the high school counselor. As mentioned by my other colleagues who've already spoken, parents are very much a part of this process. Our registration room is filled with these PSEO students as well as their parents. The main thing that we focus on in the registration room, or when I'm meeting one-on-one with students, is I'm making sure that I have the student drive. So really making sure that the student is comfortable with our e-services, with registration, with understanding how to look up courses and select courses. And so having that delicate conversation of having mom or dad step aside and be a part of that conversation beside their student, but have their student be in control and really directing my information towards the student. Advising appointments, I treat PSEO students as I do new entering freshmen. I have a heavy focus based on our 4-year discussion guide, focusing on exploration. So critical thinking skills, academic success strategies, and positive learning attitudes. Also, I'm constantly expressing the importance of meaningful relationships with faculty, staff, and their peers here at the Institute, trying to really get them to recognize the importance of connections on campus or becoming involved on campus. So PSEO students are admitted into a special non-degree seeking status, and so therefore they cannot declare a major. And so this is where it comes in. Working with faculty is really important at times, because some course availability is limited to the students within the major. So they set aside seats, or they don't want to fill to capacity and then not have enough seats for students in the major, such as film studies, some studio arts classes, mass communications, and the list is more extensive than that, but those are just some examples. What I found here at MSUM is we have a really positive understanding of the PSEO program. Faculty do not treat the students any differently, and they're willing to work with the students. I currently have a PSEO student in his 2nd year. He's been taking film studies courses since last fall when he joined us as a junior in high school. He met with the chair of the program. They discussed his interest and talked about his career goals, and after that meeting determined that she would allow the student to take courses within that major. And I actually just got a phone call from her a couple of days ago that student is still with us as a PSEO student now in his senior year of high school. And he is just presented at a North Dakota Film Festival, did a Q&A session Dad was with, and and really had a great experience. As she was very proud of how he handled himself and how he represented MSUM. So that was really good news, obviously, as his advisor. I follow up on all academic updates and referrals submitted by faculty for this population, so our early alert system. And then I also meet with PSEO students if they do struggle in a semester, having a conversation about what choices they can make moving forward into the next term. And if they do stay with us and are on academic warning, then I would meet with them more proactive basis. Since the other hat I wear is coordinator of academic intervention. Let's see. So the requirements for the high school may lead to courses transferring in as electives because some goal areas require courses from different disciplines. So sometimes students are required to take a certain amount of classes, not to keep talking about history, but if a student has to meet the Minnesota requirement and take a year of history, then they would transfer in 2 courses, and here at MSUM, 1 would count towards the last goal, 1 would transfer in as an elective. So really helping those students that become new entering freshmen to understand where things are transferring in at, how they've met the requirements, and understanding why some will transfer in as electives. But there is a disconnect between the high school expectation and then what's coming in at college level. Some students feel like they're already college students and they don't need to utilize campus resources when they're coming to campus as a new entering freshman. So really talking about the resources as being a part of the intellectual development, as well as the first year advising guide covering those topics that I discussed a little earlier. I think with PSEO students, sometimes there's an expectation that at 17 years old, you know what you want to do with the rest of your life. That can be very challenging. It's challenging for our traditionally aged students. And I think we all know people that it's still a challenge beyond the age of 24. Sometimes undeclared students may get to a point where they really have to make a decision because they've completed the majority of their generals and they're still not certain on a major. So that is a fork in the road, and hopefully through a proactive approach. And really our role as advisors is to help the student get to that point and make an informed decision. But at least when we hit that fork in the road, helping them make an informed decision. If they haven't had the opportunity to make the choices for themselves, this can be a large roadblock. But like I said, advising plays a key role in helping these students through the decision-making process.
Thank you, everyone. What a great discussion. It's been exciting to hear all 3 the presentations from all 3 of the panelists, because as we saw the questions coming in, as questions would come in, the next panelist would almost answer that just within the presentation they were doing. And so that was very exciting. We're going to take just a few minutes. We've got about 10 minutes left to respond to some of the questions. I would ask the panelists, as you look through the questions, if there's a specific one you want to answer, let me know. But those questions that they're asking, like, Mary, can I get a copy of XYZ or whatever? If you would just respond to that person using the text box, that panelist, that would be great. You can respond to them privately within those pieces. Mary, I think that one person asked the question about, and all of you discussed this, but Mary, I'll ask you specifically about how the funding for the coordinators or the counselors for these particular programs in the high schools were funded. Were they funded by the school system, by the university, by the state? How is that funding done?
Yeah, so the coordinators that we work with are employees of the high school. And so some of our coordinators are part-time and some are full-time. Some are actually counselors in the counseling office, and that's an additional responsibility that they've been given. And then funding, because they're employees of the high school, that's something that the districts do in different ways. But they're high school employees dedicated the dedicated person at that high school to handle concurrent enrollment and be a specialist at the high school.
Mary and Megan, excuse me, Megan and Gail, is that the same with the coordinators you work with in the public schools?
There you go.
We have office hours out in the high school, so I'd say we share the responsibility. Our concurrent enrollment advisors usually spend a day a week or a half day a week out in the high schools. So on the days we're there, we answer all the questions that we can. On the days we aren't there, the high school guidance counselor just fills that role for us or sends students to us via email or phone call.
Great, great. There was a question about how you use technology on your website to advise, and all of you, I think, did a great job of showing some of the things that were available. But I thought it was an interesting question that someone asked about, does the advisement change based on the number of credits the student's taking or their grade level? In other words, do your junior students tend to get a little more close advising than your senior students or vice versa? Do you find that occurring? I just thought that was an interesting question. Any of you?
I'll take it. So I sometimes have students come see me before they're a sophomore in high school. And so I would say that's a different conversation than when you're having a conversation with an 18-year-old. The part that's the same is often their parent is with them. So, but they're asking different questions. You know, when they're really young students, it's often that transactional kind of question where the closer they get to high school graduation, they are starting to be more in-depth questions about transferring credits and how are my classes really applying, and I'm thinking about this degree. So I think it evolves as they get a little further down the process. But that's just my experience.
Okay. Adam, there was an interesting question about research in regard to the impact of concurrent enrollment on students being admitted to college. And I think you said there was a data point you had that could maybe respond to that. You're on mute, Adam.
Sorry about that. So ACRO, the Association of College Registrars and Admissions Officers, did a study in 2016 that looked at dual enrollment specifically and found that 63% of the colleges reported that completing dual enrollment courses improves the likelihood of being accepted to college. The other organization that's done some research on this is NACAD, and they consider the #1 factor in college admissions. 79% of colleges reported on their survey was grades in college preparatory courses. And then the second factor was strength of the curriculum. So these are both areas that they would consider dual enrollment to be factors in college admissions as well.
Great. Thank you, Adam. There was a really interesting question and I lost it, and I want to get back to it. I know I encountered this in Georgia back in the day, and I just wondered from you, students who once they come to college and having taken a concurrent enrollment and maybe they didn't get the grade they wanted, and then they want to reject that grade or that course from their transcript once they get there. How do you deal with that issue, or do you have that issue on your campus?
We can answer that here. Once a college credit course is taken, it is on your transcript. The only way it can be removed from your transcript is if you retake the course. And then our understanding, I believe here, is that the grade is always on your transcript, but your most recent attempt of the course is the grade that's figured into the student's grade point. So there's no picking and choosing on what I want to transfer and what I don't want to transfer. Your whole transcript transfers.
I liked Troy's connection of diamonds and transcripts. So let's not forget if that means you're romantic at heart, Troy. But I thought that was a great comparison there.
Yeah, I mean, and to kind of piggyback on what Megan and Gail are talking about, I mean, MSUM's the same way. We've shifted too. I mean, now you can retake a class, and now it's kind of, man, I think of parenting. The most recent time you take the class, you get what you get, right? And you don't throw a fit. But you can replace a grade, but it still stays on the transcript. And now we're saying, even if it's the third time, that third time will be calculated. But now there's a little pressure there to do better in the class. Before, you could take a class, you had a D, you failed it, well, you got to keep the D. Well, so it's better for erasing the grade from your calculation, but no, it stays on the transcript.
Great. There was a question, Troy, do PSEO students get to live in the residence halls?
So that cost isn't covered by PSEO, but currently out of the 34 students, I have 2 living on campus. So it's usually a little bit lower, but there are, even going back to when I was an undergraduate student and in residence life, we had PSEO students living on campus, and I'm sure there's conversations there, but yeah, they are able to live on campus and be a part, but it's just not covered through the funding from the Department of Education.
Interesting. Megan and Gail, there was a question I'm assuming was probably specifically toward your discussion, primarily about do online students have similar success rates as the students who take the courses face-to-face, since you have both?
Yeah, we're very pleased with the results. Obviously, that's a big concern of ours. We want students to be successful in their courses. So we really try to monitor their progress, and we're very pleased with the end result. It helps to have that connectivity back to the high school guidance counselor to kind of keep tabs on the student too, just by checking in with them and saying, hey, how's your online class going? Just a brief conversation. But really, we're very happy with the results.
There was a question about, and this was an issue, once again, that I remember dealing with in Georgia, about how to deal with helping the students and the faculty and the other students in the classes relate when if you have students who are taking the courses on your campus, you've got a 16 or 17-year-old in a class with regular college age students or adult students. What type of special advising does that take for those of you who allow the students to come on campus and just take courses with anyone?
Well, for our students who are taking courses in like our career academies, for the most part, those are high school only sections.
Okay.
So we don't have as many, but we do have students who definitely go into college sections. Megan has some online, and then we also have a program. We have another program that allows students to do that. It's a certain kind of student, and when we register students in sections like that, we make sure that they know they're going into a college section, that they're going to be with a wide variety of students, and that especially since we're a community college, they really can be anywhere from the age of 16 to 50. So they really need to understand that there'll be a diverse network of learners so we do give them the heads up in that, and some students really thrive in that. Some students struggle, but they do learn. And for the most part, those students are very successful.
We also warn them that we're not going to treat you a whole lot differently than our college students. You're going to be held to all the same expectations, but we are here to help you if, things come up.
Mary, Troy, you want to respond to that in any way?
It's something we cover in our orientation day, very much. Maybe as much as preparing the students for what they can expect to see, and the differences, as much as preparing, I think, the messages and the information that the students can be receiving to the parents, letting them know that they're fully on this campus and they're not identified to the professors as PSEO students, but think about what these students are going into. And I definitely think even when students are ready for the academic rigor, it does make a difference based on where's their maturity level at. And so that's definitely a conversation that needs to be happening, and definitely something that's covered in advising, but parents as well as the high school counselor can inform that decision too.
Very good. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and so before Lee cuts me off, I will for Once in My Life End on Time. I do want to take this opportunity to truly thank Mary, Gail, Megan, Troy for your participation in this. It's obvious from the questions that you see in the comments that y'all have done a fantastic job with this presentation, and I really, really want to thank you. Adam, I want to thank you for participating and partnering. I think you and I both saw a couple of questions about what else we're going to do next in our partnership in providing further professional development. And so I encourage our participants to email either Adam or I or both of us with ideas that you might have for other types of professional development opportunities you would like to see us partner on. Adam, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I think you answered it very well there, Charlie. I think we clearly have a mandate now to expand some further resources on this topic.
And we are very interested in doing that. So we are very serious. Please email Adam and I, and we will make sure that Troy and Mary and Gail and Megan have plenty to do to keep them busy for the rest of the year, because I'm sure they have nothing else going on in their lives but NACADA and NACEP. Mary's ignoring me totally on that, so that's okay. You're on mute, Mary.
I said I'm going to both conferences, so it's going to be a long week.
I know it. I know it. You're going to be busy.
Back to back.
Lee, we had several questions about people asking about the webcast and the material from it. I want to let you respond one more time about the recording of it, because you know best, and I'll say it incorrectly if I don't turn it over to the expert.
Thanks, Charlie. Technology willing, we hopefully will have a good recording, and we will be posting that up to YouTube. I know we will be linking that from NACADA site. Adam, will you all? Yes. So it'll be linked from both of the association sites and able to be seen by absolutely anyone.
And for those of you who couldn't see, at one point today we had over 520 participating institutions. So that is phenomenal, because normally K-State cuts us off at 500. And so y'all have hit the top of the number of people who can participate. And I really do congratulate Troy, Mary, Megan, Gail. You did a fantastic job. Adam, thank you so much for this opportunity, and we'll continue to look at future. And as always, thank you to Lee and Gary for the outstanding job they do with these. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on the next webcast. And we look forward to doing some other professional development around this topic.